Wow. My God, look at all these Teslas. Yeah, there's quite a lot.
55, the girl was saying,
Yeah.
Anastasia was saying. Wow. Hello.
This is a pretty exciting birthday present.
Yes.
It's a fast birthday present.
So we're going from 100 to 110 kilometers an hour. Speed limit increases. I love driving this car, but Bonnie doesn't drive it at all. She just doesn't like it. Why don't you like driving the Tesla, Bonnie?
It's too futuristic for me. It's a blank canvas and all the instruments are completely different from a normal car, and I can't get my head around it. I just don't like it and I don't feel confident driving it, so I prefer you drive it.
But you did drive it the very first day we picked it up, and maybe that put you off because we drove from the Tesla centre in Alexandria over the Sydney Harbour Bridge through Sydney, so maybe that's why you don't like it, because you had quite a traumatic experience by driving a brand new car which we didn't really know how to drive. Do you think that's got something to do with it?
Totally. And not only that, the congestion in the city, and we didn't know where we were in the city because the pickup point was an area that we didn't know, so I had the added stress of that, and just I can't get my head around driving the Tesla, so I'm happy to be a passenger.
And also, when we picked it up, for some reason the software wasn't ready and we couldn't drive our car until the very last moment, and you're only basically given half an hour for the Tesla rep to go through everything and to show you how to drive it, and we really did not know how to drive it. And it's completely different to driving a petrol car. There's just basically a right hand stalk and an accelerator. There's no gear lever, there's no gearbox, so it's completely different to drive, and if you're not familiar with it, it's quite strange, but it's so easy to drive in my opinion. It's the easiest car I've ever driven, and a lot of the time it actually drives itself, but I can understand Bonnie just doesn't like driving it, and I think because she was put off the first day we drove it, she hasn't driven it since, and she doesn't want to. So
yeah, that's so true, because the thing is we missed out on our instructions because we're uploading the software like you said, and that was eating into our time for getting told how to use the car, where the instruments were, and in the end we didn't get that because they just went on to the next one, and 57 Teslas went out that day, so the reps or whoever they were under a huge time constraint, and everybody was given a slot, and we missed out on good information. Well, I did anyway, and I don't want to know about it now anyhow.
Yeah, I think that's fair, because we didn't really know how to drive, and it's all right saying, oh, you just do this, do that, but if you've never driven a Tesla or an electric car before, you've really got to get used to them because they are so different. But I find it the easiest car to drive now. It's far easier than driving. We used to have a manual gearbox car, then an automatic gearbox car, but this is just so easy to drive. But if you just don't know how to use the controls, it's like anything, it's very unfamiliar, and I can understand why Bonnie just doesn't like driving it.
I've got my own little Westie mobile that I drive, so I'm quite happy with that.
We've got the best of both worlds. We've got a petrol car and we've got the EV. In some circumstances, driving the petrol car is more practical in Australia, we have to admit. We went to Byron Bay recently and we decided not to take the Tesla. When we previously went on a bank holiday weekend, we were waiting an hour and a half to get charged at Coffs Harbour, so we thought rather than risk it this time, we'll take the petrol car. EVs are great, but the Tesla network can get congested in peak times. So you prefer driving the petrol car, Bonnie?
Oh, I much prefer driving it. I'm just used to all the instruments being where I'm used to being driving, so yours is too futuristic for me.
expensive in Australia at the moment. We're filling Bonnie's car up. Well, we're not filling it up, we're just putting some petrol in, but this is one thing I haven't done in ages, and the EV is so much cheaper. In fact, most of the time we run it for nothing, we use solar power and put a power wall, so this just shows how expensive it is. It's 48 litres, and that was only $48 for 23 litres.